Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Freedom Friday here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host here, the Ohio Patriot. For today's episode, we're going to talk about the recent ICE shooting in Minnesota and what it's led to the day since, the Ohio governor's race, and how it's shaping up now with multiple candidates announcing their lieutenant governor picks for the week, as well as why Tim Pool is wrong on a lot of things. And specifically, this comes based on his podcast last night, is what it was for Thursday night, as well as a few other things we're going to talk about today. But yeah, I do want to apologize for not doing this like 4 hours ago. I was literally asleep at the time. I'm not even going to lie. The way that everything's been going on this week, there's been a mix between a bunch of noise and then just neighbors being idiots, basically. And it's really affecting my sleep schedule, is what it is then. So I don't know if my one neighbor guy Mick is even at home right now, or if he's working like a late afternoon graveyard shift or whatever it be, if that be the case. So, because I've noticed with him, it seems like he'll, like the last like several days now or whatever, he I don't know if they changed the schedule or what it is, because he used to be there around like the daytime or whatever, like later in the day or whatever. Now it's like I'll like randomly hear him at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, or later even sometimes. So the only thing I can think is maybe he's working like second shift and like just getting off around that time or something, if it is then, or something, who knows. But it's definitely affecting my sleep, is what it is then, for the past like 3 or 4 days now, is what it is. So, including today, and that's why I ended up sleeping or trying to sleep in the bed, but unfortunately with my knee the way it is, it's not good. So, but yeah, that's why I didn't do my stream earlier today when it was done. So, which I'm kind of glad I didn't, because now it allowed me to have extra time to get a couple extra things going on, and we actually have a lot more to discuss. There's been, and this is also, by the way, I want to point something out. There's a reason why when it comes to certain high-profile events and stuff like that, I'll usually do a 3-day rule in it. That's what I'm going to start doing from now on, is what it is. So if something happens, let's go ahead and say on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday of a week, I'm not going to talk about it until that Friday, because it's usually going to take that long for like every single piece of the information to get out there, is what it is. And by then, you'll actually have the real truth coming about and stuff like that, is what it is. So, but starting out, I do want to talk about, like, obviously the big story of the day would be the ICE justified shooting there in Minnesota, which has now been proven justified with the most recent video that happened about maybe a minute or two before it happened. And yeah, so basically, those that haven't heard about it, some crazy leftist cunt, again, like they always fucking are, thought she was bulletproof, tried to fuck with ICE agents with her lesbian lover. And it's interesting too to me, because it's like every time we talk about like, these crazy lesbians and stuff like that, dude, they always seem to be like the most suicidal of all of them, is what it is, basically, or like homicidal for that matter, even. Like I remember there was a story a few years ago out of California where it was these 2 lesbians had adopted, I believe it was like 4 or 5 kids from the same family or something, is what it was there. And then the one night, they'd obviously had like a big blow up and fight and stuff like that. And instead of just, letting cooler heads prevail, you had the one who was behind the driver's seat at the time, or I should say behind the wheel of the car at the time, in the driver's seat, decide, oh, well, fuck everybody here. And she just drove the entire family off a cliff in California. So, yeah, like you'll have crazy shit like that. And not to mention, like, when you look at specifically female-female relationships, like that's what it is, they tend to have the most domestic violence in them too, as well as is across the board right now. But I think I want to say gay men are like a little bit less, or like on par with like straight people, basically. And then it's like various like straight relationships, and like depending on race, obviously, is where you start getting more domestic violence. There's what it is then, depending on the household and stuff like that. So, but yeah, so basically you had these 2 women who were, in a relationship there in Minnesota, or not even Minnesota. They were from, I believe she was from Illinois, what it was. and had gone to Minnesota because she was a quote-unquote ice watcher. And basically what it ended up being was they had her biological child in some charter school that basically was all like some kind of crazy Marxist charter school is what it was there, that was trying to teach them like how to basically be like leftist terrorists essentially. And you might as well call it Antifa school at that point, honestly, because that's basically what it was. And so yeah, so basically they were there for they had no reason to even be in that state at all, for that matter. And then she tried to get in the cops' faces, try to block them, not the cops' faces, the feds' faces. What was there? Because it was ICE agents that she was trying to fuck with, is what was there, trying to impede their official business, etc., and then tried to literally run through them. Basically, is what it was there with her SUV. Very similar to how that one black woman here in Columbus, Ohio, a couple years ago did the same thing with cops there after she was stealing booze. I'm trying to think how you pronounce her name. It's something with a T. It's like Tayara Young or something like that, or Takaya Young or something like that is how it was pronounced. But yeah, for those who don't know about that story, it was like 2 or 3 years ago now. So it was either 2022 or 2024. You had this black woman who was like 7 months pregnant or so. I think she was 7 months, 8 months, somewhere in there. And she went into a local Kroger in Columbus, Ohio, stole a bunch of booze, was confronted by the cops in her vehicle. Instead of just giving up right then and there, because obviously, she's about to be a mother again, she decided to go full retard and, start the engine up and then try to, like, zip through this cop. And this cop was just, like, not having these, like, and just, like, took her ass is what it was. Took her ass out of this world is what it was then, man. And it was justified, from the body cam footage what it was then, that he was in the right to do so. And it was the same thing here with the ICE agent. He pretty much did the same thing. You can see on multiple videos, actually, she does clip him a little bit is what it was there. And with the side of the car is what it was then. So, yeah, it was justifiable homicide is what it was there, dude. But anyway. And now, of course, since then, you have had these crazy fuckers that are a bunch of leftists, basically, how was I going to say this now? Yeah, they were basically in a position currently to where they're either on one side of the fence or the other, where it's, depending on if they're a minority or not, they're basically like, oh, just some stupid white bitch, fuck this bitch, and then going like full black supremacist, essentially what it is there. Or they're doing real stupid shit, like something we're about to show right now, which is we have, ladies and gentlemen, a new version of the Chaz that I am officially dubbing the WAZ, the Winter Autonomous Zone. And I'm not going to lie, I'm very happy about this. Mostly because I want to see the cops, like, literally beat the fuck out of these idiots. This was the site of her dumbass. This is the area where she was killed at, is what it was then. And yeah, they've literally barricaded a whole bunch of shit, including a trail close sign, and that's just fuck ICE. So, what a bunch of dumbasses, dude. What a bunch of complete morons, for real. These people are a joke. They're really a joke now is what it is, because you are literally creating an autonomous zone in a state that has sub-zero snowstorms in it on a regular basis at the time when this is happening. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy freezing to death out there, you idiots, because that's what's going to fucking happen to your dumbasses. So, yeah, just fucking stupidity all the way around is what it is. It's just sad, honestly. It's just sad that we've come to this point in history. So, anyway. I do appreciate the take that I think the guy calls himself like Savagely Land or something like that on Facebook and a couple other social media sites. Because he's taking the whole thing the other day was how the real reason this actually happened was because you basically have had like X number of generations now is what it is. Like whether it be 3, 4, or 5, whatever it is now. That that have basically put women on a pedestal is what it is there, and allowed like no consequences societies for them is what it is there. And so now I think they're bulletproof, especially these leftist types like that's what it is, and they're bulletproof. And yeah, they learn real quick that they're not when they get shot in the fucking chest is what it is them. So, and what I think is very interesting too is I was watching this other video this morning. It was from the Anton Daniels guy, and it was this crazy leftist bitch who was bitching and moaning about the death of this Renee Good woman, and then the lesbian lover who I'm not sure what her name was at this point. Honestly, I don't really give a fuck either. But yeah, they're basically talking about how Renee's kids should be in her custody or whatever the case be, but now you have, it was either the brother-in-law of their biological father, or it was, or sorry, not the brother-in-law, it was the brother of the biological father, I believe is what it was, or it was the grandfather of these kids, one of the two, that was talking about how, oh, my, you know, my, like, nieces and nephews or whatever, or my grandkids, whatever, be there, have nobody, I gotta go to Minnesota now to, like, take them, basically, what it is there. And this woman was basically bitching and moaning about, like, oh, this is all Trump's fault, and this is exactly what Trump was gonna do, separate families, da, 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 da. And I'm just like, cunt, shut the fuck up. Like, this is the problem with some of these fucking dumb cunts, dude. They just need to shut their goddamn mouths, is what it is. And the point is, it's like, first off, why would any sane society allow these kids to be in the custody of some fucking leftist nut who got their mother killed? That's number one. Number two, who's to say that this woman, who was her random lover, even has any parental rights at all to these kids, which is my guess, honestly, and that's exactly why the next of kin would be their grandparent or their uncle or whoever be at that point then. That's actual biological family to them is what it is there. And then number three, maybe stop doing dumb shit to get you killed, you know? Like, this is the problem with these people, dude. Like, they will sit there and fuck around until they find out. And then when they find out, they're like, oh my god, I didn't know that actions have consequences. It's like, yeah, because you're a brainwashed fucking retard is what it is, dude, for real. So, yeah. And then, of course, you had another shooting the following day in Portland, Oregon, that people thought was Antifa, and it turns out it's actually the cartels. Specifically, it's people that were part of that Tren de Agua, went out of, I believe it was Venezuela, that came into here. So, yeah, it's like all the Central American cartels that have come into America in the last, like, 3 or 4 years because of bitch-ass Biden is what it is there. So, anyway. And then, of course, you got shit like, we got some other video here, too, from the Discord, where it was Border Patrol agents warned 2 white women in separate SUVs to stop trailing them and not to impede. Don't make a bad decision today. And of course, you got this fucking smug cunt right here who really just needs that fucking smug ass smirk fucking punched off her face is what it is right now, honestly, dude. So, like, honestly, the fact that this ICE agent is just ripping this bitch out of the fucking vehicle right now and arresting her ass for obstructing official business is exactly what the problem with this country right now is what it is, dude. They're letting these fucking cunts get away with this shit, honestly. So, it's just absolutely ridiculous is what it is. And of course, you got this dumb bitch over here filming a different SUV. You ever notice how they all have like the same Karen kind of haircuts too? Like, it's all like that weird, like, I'm trying to remember what that woman's name is, like Kate Gosling kind of haircut is what it is there. So, but yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous. So, anyway, I think things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. I would not be surprised, honestly, if the left tried to use this event to basically kick off a second civil war in this country in the coming months. And basically, when I say civil war, what I mean from their side would be from the perspective of like either a center or like right-leaning side. It would be a civil war. From the side of the left, it would essentially be them trying to create a color revolution in this country. So, which is not what we need, not what we want. And that's exactly what the globalist one is, what it is there. because I guarantee they're the ones pulling these puppet strings is what it is then. So, yeah, not a good thing at all, man. Not a good thing at all. So, anyways. But, yeah, definitely looking for bad times ahead right now is what it is. Because we are very much in the time period where shit's going to start popping off very quickly, I believe is what it is. And if it doesn't, I would be shocked, honestly, at this point. So, anyway. But, continuing on, we also got a bunch of other countries since Maduro was taken out of Venezuela trying to bow up now is what it is. Most recently, you had the fucking dumb cunt president of Mexico, who is 100% a cartel queen / cartel enabler is what it is there, claiming Mexican president mobilizes diplomats to stop Trump from attacking cartels in her country. Like, the fact this bitch hasn't been snatched out of her fucking bed at night is what it is right now by the American military is a problem too, honestly. Like, she should have been fucking taken. The president of Colombia should have been taken. The other various presidents from which other Central American countries that are fucking trying to, be big, trying to be big dog, big dick, etc. there when they don't have any dick is what it is in this fight at all. And yeah, it's definitely fuck around and find out time for these fucking people, man. But anyway, I don't know. Unfortunately, I think a lot of this does go back to like saber rattling, or in their cases, it would basically be like knife rattling essentially, because they don't have a real saber. Because obviously, a real saber would be like a big sword, whereas they just got like a little baby knife or something like that. Actually, let's see if I can find that one knife I got the other day. Yeah, their blade would basically be something like this, where they would just be like, "No, stay away." So, yeah, it would just be a joke, honestly. But anywho, so anyway, going on to from there, talk about the Ohio governor's race. So you basically had multiple things happen this week. You had Vivek officially tap Jackass, Ohio Senate President Rob. How do you pronounce that guy's last name? I believe it's McCauley, but I could be wrong about that one. Yeah, it's Rob McCauley. So you had him be tapped as Vivek's lieutenant governor nominee. You had that piece of shit Amy Acton tap piece of shit David Pepper as her fucking lieutenant governor pick. And then most recently, you have who we're endorsing for this race, being Casey Putsch, announce his lieutenant governor nominee, which is a woman named Kim Georgeton. So, who is Kim Georgeton, you may ask? I asked the same question myself. I was like, who is Kim? Like, I've never heard of this woman. So, apparently, she was a small business owner here in Ohio. I'm not exactly sure what her business is or what it was. I don't know if it's actually still exists or not, because I know there's a lot of ones that have gone under now because of DeWine's piece of shit ass and the whole COVID lockdown stuff, so it is there. But yeah, apparently she was part of a U.S. Congress race last year, or not last year, 2 years ago. So I keep thinking we're in 2025 still. But yeah, she was in the congressional race in 2024 is what it was, which was a Republican primary that had like 11 different people in it. She did not win, obviously. Dave Taylor's piece of shit ass did win that race to replace Brad Winsip, who I believe took over a Chamber of Commerce seat, is what it was here in Ohio. And yeah, there was a bunch of people in the race. Like I said, there was like 11 different people in the race. Here's the actual results of the race, where Dave Taylor got just over 25% of the vote, where he almost got beat by this Tim O'Hare guy who should have actually won that race. Had one of the other people in the race actually given their votes to Tim, that would have been enough to knock Dave out of the race is what it is there. But going down further and further here, You actually had Kim get 2.2% of the vote with 2,311 votes, which is pretty significant given the fact that Najee Antani, who at the time was a state senator, only got 1.7% of the vote, or 1,700 votes. So she actually beat him by like quite a significant margin actually on that. Like over 600 votes more is what it was then in that race. Now, granted, she didn't win. Unfortunately, neither did Ron Hood, who has since, I believe, passed away after that race. I believe Ron died of, I forget if it was a heart attack or a stroke that took his life then. And the reason I say Ron's passing there was a bad deal too is because Ron Hood, those who don't know, was one of the biggest 2A advocates here in Ohio. He's exactly why we at the network even exist right now. He basically was in our state house for like a decade or so. And he was fighting for our rights the entire time. He was basically one of the biggest 2A champions in this state. He is the exact reason why stand your ground and constitutional carry exist as laws right now in the state of Ohio. And yeah, his death was a huge loss, honestly. And it's unfortunate that he is gone now. But hopefully people like Casey and Kim can take up that mantle in quick order. Here's what it is in a few months, come May 5th. Because apparently, my understanding now, looking into doing a little quick dive into Kim, here's what it is, and specifically because I was trying to find, she had a website a couple years ago there of what she was running on, and it popped up in the thing, but it wouldn't actually give me like a direct link to it, so I don't know if it just doesn't exist anymore, what it is there. Because I was trying to see what her political platform was that she was running on then. The only thing I could find was this various news article about it, where they were discussing it here. And this is from 2024, obviously, where you had them basically going over the 11 Republicans facing off in that primary, and then talked about Kim here. And it said, according to her website, Georgetown's platform was grounded in a deep respect for the Constitution and a commitment to reducing government overreach. Cincinnati resident Georgetown said that she never planned to get into politics until politics impacted her business. As a candidate, she focused her campaign on multiple issues, including reducing taxes, protecting parental rights, fighting corruption, standing with pro-life advocates, and much more. So yeah, like, to me, it's a good deal, honestly, dude. She definitely is who needs to be lieutenant governor right now, is what it is. Like, Casey needs to be governor, Kim needs to be lieutenant governor, and we need to have an actual good state again, dude, where we can reduce the bloated ass budget. I mean, hell, you have just under 12 million people that live in the state of Ohio right now. It's like 11.8 million. Comparing to Florida, that has, I believe it's almost 24 million, or maybe just over 24 million now is what it is. So we have less than half their population. Yet in the past year, the two different state budgets, our state budget is only $12 billion less than Florida's is. It was over $105 billion for the Ohio budget for 2025, 2026 years, what it is. So it really makes me wonder, given the fact that we only have 11.8 million people in the state, where is 50-something billion dollars going to? Because I'm willing to bet it's going into fraud at this point, honestly. I'm willing to bet there's like $55.2 billion that's going directly into the pockets of Somalians, the pockets of Haitians, and the pockets of other third world trash in this country that have no business being in my fucking state or my nation right now is what it is, and are actively robbing the American people blind. And these piece of shit rhino-ass politicians that are in power right now, like Mike DeWine, are 100% responsible for this shit because they're allowing it to happen, because I guarantee they're getting kickbacks from it. It's just like the exact same way why DeWine now endorsed Vivek's bitch ass for governor, because Vivek basically made some backdoor deal with DeWine to not happen to prosecute his ass in the coming months/years for the HB6 scandal over the First Energy shit. There's nothing about that whole thing. That was the exact scandal that took down Larry Householder, which, by the way, if Householder, which he should have turned state's evidence at that point, and took down everybody else with his ass at that point, it would have taken down Mike DeWine, then Lieutenant Governor, now U.S. Senator, John Husted, who DeWine appointed to the U.S. Senate, who's up for re-election now this coming May, and needs to be voted the fuck out, by the way. Husted needs to be primary the fuck out, actually, is what it is. Real constitutionalist. and not being appointed little bitch boy in U.S. Senate. So you had DeWine, Husted. You would have most likely had Robert Spruce. You would have most likely had Keith Ferber, who were auditor and treasurer respectively, and are now trying to play musical chairs this coming May and run for other seats. Specifically, Spruce is trying to run for Secretary of State, which he needs to lose hard to that Marcel dude, whose last name I cannot pronounce, unless I would hear it honestly be said. It's like basically like, it looks like they basically put an S and then like a bunch of like other letters behind it. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce it and like bastardize it. It's like Scritch or something like that, I think is what it would be. Something crazy. But yeah, that Marcel guy definitely needs to become Secretary of State though. And that's who we are endorsing right now, by the way, with Casey. It's Casey as governor, Marcel as Secretary of State, and then hopefully some other candidates will pop in the next couple of weeks. Here's what it is then. We can actually endorse against these rhino-ass establishment douchebags who are just trying to hold musical chairs and stay in office when they're turned out in other different positions of power. So, and I believe Ferber is the one that's trying to run for AG right now is what it is then. And I know LaRose himself, who's Secretary of State currently, is trying to become auditor now is what it is then. And every single one of these assholes need to lose a little bit of this dude for real. Like Vivek's entire ticket and everybody that's endorsing him from all these positions right now, it needs to drag them all out of office completely is what it is there. Like, they need to lose whole-handedly is what it is, dude. And it's, like, so hard it will shake this fucking state back to its foundation, basically, of constitutionalism. So, anyway. Like, honestly, right now, like, people like myself would make a better AG without even having any kind of background in lawyering. Like, having no BA, having no any other law degree or anything like that. Like, I'd make a better AG than these fucking people would, honestly, dude. Because at least I'd be willing to actually arrest these corrupt-ass politicians for the various crimes they committed right now. And I'd be an AG that would be willing to prosecute their asses on misdemeanors, too, for that matter, not just fucking felonies. Because for those who don't know, deprivation of rights are code of law, which is most of them have committed at this point multiple times over, is a misdemeanor instead of a felony, which it should be a felony because the fact that one of two charges that it includes is the death penalty, depending on the severity of the crime that they're doing with it. And the life imprisonment is another one, obviously. It's a big deal, man. Big deal. So, anyway. Shifting gears, again, moving on to the Tim Pool part of today's episode. We're going to talk about why Tim Pool is wrong about stuff. So, he was basically... The problem I have with Tim Pool in general is he's good in small doses, but, like, the longer I listen to this guy, the more I just want to, like, be like, no, you're wrong, you're a douchebag, fuck you, etc. And it's kind of like Asmongold, too. He's one of these kind of types. Like, both these guys, like, they're good in, like, short form, like, YouTube shorts, essentially. But, like, anything over, like, 10 minutes, like, it's just like, yeah, that you just made, like, a dumbass take, bro. Just shut up, basically, is what it is there. And the problem with Tim was I was watching his Thursday stream last night, and he made this really fucking retarded-ass analogy, which was he was discussing specifically the various things going on with Minnesota right now and how you have Tim Walz basically calling in the National Guard there and stuff like that, and how these National Guard, like, you know, basically indebted to these governors and stuff like that, etc. Even if Trump would federalize them and stuff like that. And it's like, that's where you're pretty much wrong, dude, number one. Because pretty sure that most of these people that signed up to be a National Guardsman in whatever state they live in, it wasn't to back some fucking dickhead leftist governor who is a fucking tyrant sack of shit who has openly fucked over their gun rights as civilians and their families' gun rights as civilians, etc. there. So that's number one. Number two, if something were to ever happen like that one, like Tim was suggesting, where he was basically bitching and moaning about, like, oh, you know, if there was a bunch of National Guard being called in by these leftist governors, they would basically just have to follow suit or they're going to take their kids. It's like, dude, all you're doing with that one is you're proving that these people have nothing else to lose. So why wouldn't they just pull a gun out and blow this person's brains out, honestly? Like, that's the problem you're bringing up right there, is you're bringing up a scenario where you were saying, like a Newsom type or like a Walz type or whatever the case be, would threaten to take these people's children away if they didn't basically fall in line as a sitting National Guardsman, whatever the case be is there. And it's like, or they just wouldn't fight them on their front doorstep, but they would still kill their asses later. Is what it is, dude. Like I guarantee you, people ain't just gonna sit back and watch their kids be taken away, dude. Like if you're given that choice of nothing left to lose or fall in line, they're just gonna be like, "Well, you just made your own choice, there, buddy," and they would just pull a gun. He goes, "What it is there?" Because that's the thing. Like the thing with human nature is nobody knows what somebody's gonna do until they do it. And to sit there and be like, "Oh, well, it's guaranteed that they're going to basically fall in line with these leftist ass governors and stuff like that." It's like, the fuck they will. Like, you don't know that, dude. You can't 100% predict that stuff. And that's the whole point, is the human psyche, especially when you put it in a position where it is, basically see your family killed or kill somebody else, whatever the case be. Like, they're probably going to choose to kill somebody else, honestly, what it is there. And I guarantee you that most National Guardsmen who work regular 9 to 5s, they're basically reserve people, is what it is in most cases there. They're not going to sit there and fucking take that shit, dude. They're going to do what needs to be fucking done to protect their families, is what it is there. And that would include dealing with a fucking tyrant in charge. So, and then not to mention bringing regular military types and stuff like that. It all depends there as well. Now, granted, the problem that we've seen recently in the last 4 to 6 years or so, give or take, and really this cycle was about, I think the original thing I was going to reference would have been about 10 years ago or so, give or take now. And it was basically, there was a test that was handed out to most military branches, what it was their Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, etc. there. And I think it started about 20 to 30 years ago, give or take. And it was basically a survey of various military, from the high level generals, like all the way down to like basically just like your privates and stuff like that. And the major question that was being asked was, would you be willing to fire on civilians? And to start with, it was pretty much a hard no. From like, I think it was either 100% hard no, like the first year or two is what it was there, to then it started being like a couple were like yes, and then eventually, as the military ended up being more people that were brought into this country through various illegal means, etc., or through like various immigration, visa programs and stuff like that. A lot more of these foreign national types that were then joining our military were saying yes. And now what's happening is in the past like 10 years or so, you've had a lot more young dudes that were from various foreign backgrounds that are like, yeah, we'll fire on American civilians, what it is then. And so, of course you will, because you're not a fucking American, dude. That's the entire point. You're not a true American because you come from a different country with a different set of laws, a different set of beliefs, etc. You have never assimilated to the American culture. You will never assimilate to the American culture in most cases, especially if they're fucking Islam. And so, yeah, of course they're willing to fire on civilians, is what it is then, dude. And that's the problem right now, is what it is. So, yeah. It's a situation where it really, like, I think going back to the National Guardsman thing and tinfoil there, I think it would depend on the Guardsman too. But pretty sure any of them, if you had somebody roll up and be like, telling some dude, like, get in the truck or we're snatching your kids, it's either going to be the dude themselves pulling a gun on that person, or it's going to be the entire family pulling guns on that person. So, because anybody that has any, intelligence and a little bit of time on their hands and stuff like that would teach their kids to shoot at a young age, honestly, and how to handle firearms at a young age. So, yeah, I could easily see it being a situation where you would have people try that shit or whatever the case be, and then it's, some, let's say, 30-year-old father who has like a 7-8-year-old son, and then maybe like a 5-year-old daughter or something like that, and then the wife, who's also around the same age he would be then or whatever, and you'd have every single one of those people be armed as what it is then, or at least 3 of the 4 anyway. You'd have the son, the wife, and the husband. Maybe not the daughter because, just age and her not being able to control, obviously, at the time, whatever then. So, Actually, let's redo that scenario. The son would be about 8 or 9. The daughter would be maybe 7, because then she'd probably be about the right age to actually be able to handle a firearm and stuff like that. What it is then. So, yeah, I can see the whole family being armed is what it is then against military force. So, especially against tyrannical governors and stuff like that, what it is there. But again, you don't know these things until they actually come to fruition is what it is then. So, but yeah, I think this is where Tim Pool is wrong. And then he the real problem I had with him entirely was the conversation he was having with, I believe the chick was the libertarians what it was there. And she's a total constitutionalist. She actually knows her constitutional stuff ins and outs of what it is there, dude. Like, she was able to cite like various clauses of various constitutional amendments on the spot as it was done last night. But the problem with Tim is he was being constantly an asshole the entire time, because they were basically going back and forth about states' rights, and the 10th Amendment is what it was there, completely ignoring the 9th Amendment, which basically supersedes the 10th Amendment completely is what it is there, where it comes to individual rights is what it is then. And that's the problem I have with Tim right now is what it is. And what Tim failed to also mention was the 10th Amendment itself about states' rights also extends to individuals, by the way. It does extend to individual rights at that point, dude. And to sit there and be like, oh, a state has the right to take away your guns and stuff like that, it's like, the fuck they do, dude. It literally, the entire point of the U.S. Constitution is it trumps everything, bro. It trumps every single state constitution. It trumps states' rights, etc. There's what it is. And specifically, the Second Amendment being the only amendment that specifically ends and shall not be infringed, says it right there, buddy, that you cannot legally take away rights. And that's the problem with all these fucking piece of shit politicians right now is what it is. You have them trying to do gun bans here and there and every place else now, and they're knowingly committing unconstitutional tyranny against the American people in these states by enacting these unconstitutional gun bans, and yet not being removed from power because of it. Because truthfully, and if we were actually a just country right now, dude, every single one of these Democrat states right now, from California to Oregon to Washington State to Maine to Michigan to Massachusetts, etc., all of these sitting governors would no longer be in office because they would be in handcuffs for various deprivation of rights under color of law charges was there. Not to mention everything else that they've done that would be completely unconstitutional. Colorado is another one of them, for a great example, honestly, as well. And this is the problem when people are not willing to step up. And when I say people, I specifically mean law enforcement in this country is not willing to step up and do their jobs as police, as sheriffs, as various, badged LEOs, because they are openly letting this shit go on instead of simply arresting these tyrants out of office for the tyranny they're committing is what is there. And I guarantee you, if we were back, a couple hundred years in the Founding Fathers time period, you would have already seen fucking ropes come out at this point, dude. Like, there'd be fucking tire swings everywhere is what it is right now. So, not to mention tarred and feathering, everything else like that's what it is. And like I've said many times, I think there's a lot of feather throwers out there, but there's not a lot of tar throwers in our society anymore, unfortunately, because nobody wants to be that tall blade of grass that gets cut down, not knowing there's going to be another tall blade of grass behind it to back it up is what it is. So, or God forbid, you're the guy that throws the bucket of tar and there's nobody to throw a bucket of feathers, So, anyway, I don't know. It's just a bad deal all the way around, man. And I think we're definitely seeing things get much worse before they get better. So, I know Trump himself is trying to do certain things right now that could help, couldn't help. Maybe who knows? Who the fuck knows? Honestly, let's go to Brett for a minute before we leave today. I just want to see what's going on there, is what it is. So, yeah, most recently we had the new footage proves, quote, Poet, which is a woman that was killed there in Minnesota, tried to run over ICE agent, Democrat narrative destroyed, monster media scandal. And we had Portland, police chief, couple shot by Border Patrol, was associated with Trendalagua. Trump oil companies will invest $100 billion to rebuild Venezuela's oil infrastructure. Mexican president and mobilizes stuff there. We got Cuban foreign minister appears in Venezuela honoring dozens of regime agents killed in Maduro arrest. Fucking disgusting. We also had Trump talk about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac buying up like $200 million in mortgage debt or something like that, and trying to basically bring down the mortgage rates for people. What he needs to do is stop BlackRock and Vanguard and all these other fucking foreign agencies like that from being the monopoly that they are, and trust bust the fuck out of those people is what it is right now, dude, honestly. Like, that would be the thing to help the American economy right now is what it is. Because you should not have these mega conglomerates like that being monopolies and being able to fuck over the American people is what it is there. So, anyway. But, yeah. Tomorrow is my birthday, though, if I was interested. We'll be turning 41 then. And most likely I will be doing a stream for the Slicey Boy Saturday streams. I was going to do my top 25 or my top 10 and 25, but I think I'm just going to do some 2026 now. So it is right now that I've gotten recently that are pretty cool. So, yeah, do a little birthday celebration of Blades. But that'll be most likely in the later afternoon, like 4, 5, 6, someplace in there, because sometime tomorrow afternoon. Actually, well, it depends. Depends on when I'm up exactly. It might be like 10 or 11 a.m., honestly. Because I was talking to my cousin today, and he says it's going to be at least probably 1 before we would go out to do some stuff. That is what it is. Really, I got to go grocery shopping and do a few other things what it is then. I'm going to try to go to Dairy Queen and get a Blizzard too, if that be the case, because that is the one constant that I missed out on last year is what it was for the last probably 15 years of my life, honestly. Except for last year, obviously. Every other year, I've either gotten a Blizzard or a Blizzard cake on my birthday is what it was then. And, of course, the Blizzard cakes are way too expensive these days. My sister said something to me about, I guess there's like something that's like off menu. It's like a Blizzard cupcake or something is what they call it. And it's basically like in the Blizzard thing, but it's like the ice cream cake thing or whatever. Like a single serving or whatever in a Blizzard cup or whatever then. So, I don't know, maybe I'll look into that. Most likely I'll probably just get a regular Blizzard, that's what it is. Get my Reese's cup that I always love. So, good times had by all. But yeah, most likely I'll do that tomorrow, or if I can't get there, maybe I'll just get like a small cheesecake or something for Walmart is what it is then. Have that be my 41 celebration is what it is there. So, I'm not sure what my wish would be at this point. Maybe nobody moves in behind me is what it is then. So, I know that's not going to happen though. I know that the landlord is getting that place ready again. I think they fucked up. The guy who was living there fucked it up or whatever, because I heard people, they were using like a handsaw, what it was the other day, and electric one, obviously. I don't know if they were building like new cabinets over there or what it was. Or they were putting up like a new door or something. Maybe he fucked up and took with him or something like that. What it was then. But yeah, apparently they were building something over there, because I kept hearing the saw being like zzz, which was real nice because I was trying to take a nap at the time, obviously. So, and then of course I texted him and I was like, "Hey, is there people over there doing stuff right now? Like, what's going on, man?" He's like, "Yeah, it's my helpers or whatever, and they're gonna be there every so often going forward." Is what it is then. And I was like, "Oh, okay." It's like, yeah, it would be nice to know that before that, dude. So this guy really is like the biggest hands-off landlord I've ever had. Is what it is, dude, in my life. So, like, you would think, like, the fact that you're gonna have people out there, like, I don't know, maybe, and the fact that you like have the numbers of the people that live in the complex, like right next to the unit. It's like you would think you'd like text them and be like, hey, like just let you know I'm gonna have guys come out there over then. So if you hear noise, it'll be from them. So you're not having like random text from that tenant being like, hey, what the fuck, dude? So yeah, it's just stupid, honestly. So I assume next week we'll have a bunch of other shit going on there. Of course, my cousin never brought over the heat gun this week because he was out doing some bow thing in Indiana is what it was for most of the week. There was some convention over there in Indiana where he went to it for bow hunting and stuff. So most likely I'll get the heat gun from him tomorrow and take down all this shit either tomorrow night or sometime Sunday. So I'm thinking more Sunday, honestly, and just having my birthday to be cool or whatever. And then so hopefully by like Monday or Tuesday, if I do a stream, then all the stickies will be down. That's what it is from the heat gun. So, because by the way, I tried to do them with the my regular blow dryer that I bought off Amazon, and yeah, that Conair one was not strong enough to like basically blow the shit away. Is what it was. Like it took way too much time. So I think I need like a basic like regular heat gun to just get it hot enough to basically unstick and then sort of peel off basically as easily as possible. Because yeah, these things are very stuck on there right now. Is what it is, man. But anyway, which is the main reason why I haven't really fucked with them, because I know if I just try to rip them off, they just rip all the paint off is what it is then, so there's no reason to do that, obviously. I'm going to have to pay for a new paint job because the landlord or whoever it was a cheap ass and didn't bother doing the fucking shit the right way it was, because I don't know if it was him or the last tenant or if it was one of his helpers or what it was that painted this wall in between me and whoever was here before this. But whoever did it fucked it up because they should have put a binder in the paint, and they didn't bother doing that. They didn't bother putting a binding layer on top there is what it was. And so yeah, as soon as you pull this away, you quite literally have like bubbles and stuff forming is what it is there, which completely sucks ass. So, and I know it's going to damage stuff eventually. I'm trying not to do and damage what it is there because I'm not going to be responsible for that and have some or all, which it better never be fucking all, but it better not even be some of my deposit getting fucked over like that to try and paint a new wall or some bullshit for his ass. So anyway, because if it did come down to that, I'd just be like, hey, here's the deal, man. Like, I'll just give you like the $50 for like a can of paint right now is what it is then. Like, don't even take that on my fucking deposit, asshole. So, but anyway, I don't know. I think as it stands right now, I'm probably gonna go month to month on this place for like 2 months is what it is then. So it'd be April and May then, just because I don't think I'm gonna find a place before then is what it is. And the reason I would do May obviously is because it would be May 5th would be the for election day. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, as long as I'm here for April 2, I think my plan right now will be in the next week or two. I'm going to go finally get my ID updated to this address, what it is then. And then that way I could actually go to the Stark County Board of Elections at some point, and early voting starts as what it is then. And then just vote there. So it'll be, I think this is going to happen. And then that way I don't got to bother getting an absentee ballot or anything like that is what it is. So. Or finding out. I know primarily where the voting place is here, which I know it's in the local schools around here. I just don't know exactly where the school is at, and that's why I don't really want to find it is what it is there. Whereas I know exactly where the Stark County Board of Elections is, and I could easily just go in there and vote then. And I think it'd be much better for me to do that, honestly. And that way I could vote for Casey, I could vote for Marcel, etc. And, basically just do a different ticket there and hopefully it wins. So, we've had voter ID on the books for years now is what it is. The problem is that nobody enforces the fraud that actually happens with it. Because there's been fraud even with it there. There's a great video actually from back in 2020 where it was during the Biden voter fraud there. There was, I believe it was CNN or MSNBC, one of the two, had come here and was doing like a segment up in Cleveland there. And quite literally, as they're talking to some state rep, or whoever it was, at one of the Cleveland polling places about fraud and like misuse and stuff like that, there's this black woman right behind them with this giant fucking stack of ballots that she's just shoving in the ballot box outside for the absentee ballots. And it's like, yeah, that's not voter fraud or anything, dude. Especially when she's literally taking pictures with it before she throws them in there. And I'm like, yeah. And it was never investigated. And it's the same thing with, like, that's the thing that pisses me off the most about Frank LaRose being Secretary of State for the past 8 years now is what it is that this motherfucker had all the evidence he needed to not only arrest and indict Sherrod Brown for voter fraud in 2018 midterms, he just never. And the reason why, I believe personally at this point, is because had he actually investigated the voter fraud there of Sherrod's Judge Buddy putting over 200,000 dead voters back on our voter rolls a couple days before midterms, what it was there, is that when you look into the Mike DeWine or Rob Corddry governor's race then, there is absolutely no way that DeWine didn't use those same dead voters for his own voting block to get into power is what it is there. So I believe truthfully it was both DeWine and Sherrod Brown that were using dead voters then. So it was a Democrat and a rhino that were using them to get into power is what it was then. And if it was ever investigated, it would take down both sides of the General Assembly is what it is then. And that's why I believe that's why we have so much corruption in our state house right now is what it is, and our state government and power is what it is there, because it's a house of fucking cards, dude. If you take down one or two, they'll simply turn state's evidence and take down rebellion is what it is there. And that's why I've said before in the past, I said it about 6-7 years ago, honestly, and like up through the last couple of years here is what it is too. I believe truthfully there were certain people at the time that were in positions of power that if they were used and cut a plea deal or whatever the case be, they would take down probably half the General Assembly at that time. I believe there are new people now who are in power currently is what it is that would do the exact same thing, if not bigger. Like I believe we'd see about 95% of the Democrat Party taken down with them. I believe we'd see about 75% of the Republican Party taken down with them or more. So, and I would go closer to probably 85% honestly at this point for the Republican Party. So I believe there's about 15% that are not on the take for Republicans, and I would say maybe like 5% of Democrats that they're on the take. They're just not able to be taken down with this big ass set of people for this one thing is what it is then. So really it'd be the entire Democrat Party in various ways and stuff like that through various scandals. And then it'd be about 85% the Republican Party as the establishment people that are in there right now is what it is then. So, and yeah, when you have so much corruption in the state that you need to basically abolish state government completely just to get fucking shit reset is what it is then, dude. Like, that's pretty much where I'm at right now, is it's try to get Casey in there as governor, but if that doesn't work and Vivek does win the Republican primary and Acton doesn't get primaried out there by the Democrats on her side, like if it's Vivek versus Acton, dude, it needs to be entire abolishment of state government then come November. So basically there's a shift from May primary to come, basically June 1st or so. It needs to be game fucking on and just do this fucking people's what it is then. So, anyway. But on that note, though, it's just after 10 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and, I guess I'm not sure if my neighbor guy is out working or he's out at the bar or where the fuck he's at right now. I haven't heard him in there since I got up earlier, so I assume he's not in the unit right now, but I could be wrong. So who knows? Maybe him and some of the other guys decided to go out and go to the bar or something like that and watch a game together or something. Who knows? But either way, I'm going to shut this one down before I would hear any noise and stuff. There's what it is. Plus, I got to go make something to eat too because I'm pretty hungry. I haven't eaten today. So need to figure out what I can make now. I got some bacon in the fridge that needs to be used up before it goes bad. And I also got some eggs in there too that I need to use it before they go bad as well. So maybe I'll just do some like breakfasty foods for dinner. Here's what it is, and try to use the air fryer to do a bunch of bacon or something. Then the problem with doing bacon in the air fryer is you're actually better off just doing the oven as what it is then, because one thing I noticed with my air fryer specifically then, it just does not cook it through the way it needs to. Like especially if you do like multiple racks. Because I have one of the I inherited one of the, I think it's called power air fryers or whatever, where it's like a rack thing. You can use it as hydrant and stuff like that too. The problem is that with that particular deal, if it's not on like the top rack, everything underneath it is just does not get cooked through. It needs to be put in there for like twice or three times the amount of time it needs to be then for the other ones. So you'll either have like a burnt top layer and then like barely cook like middle and lower layers, or it'll be the top layer will be totally cooked through, and then you'll have to basically pull that one and like reset the other ones back in there for like another like 15-20 minutes then, where it'd be just easier to take a whole fucking like thing of bacon and then throw it on a fucking tray, and then throw that tray in the oven for like a half hour at like 350 or 375 or whatever it is then. So I don't know if it'd be quite that long, maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, somewhere in there. I forget. It's been a while since I've done it, honestly. I know if you look up the Google for doing bacon in the oven there, that's pretty much what it'll give you, is like exact time and exact temperatures then too. So anyway, but yeah, I'm pretty tired, but also pretty hungry right now. So I'm gonna go figure something out there is what it is, and make some food that I think is what it is, and see if anybody else is doing a stream tonight or not then. And then probably just go to sleep not long after that is what it is then. I know the old woman, like I said earlier, who lives across from me, I don't know when she turned it on last night. It was sometime between like 3 and 4 a.m., I think is what it was. And yeah, she flipped on her outside porch light is what it was then. And the reason I know that is because about 6 this morning, when it was still dark out, I could see it popping through my windows and stuff like that is what it is, which sucks. And creating like shadow casting and stuff. I really need to get a better blind from my door too, because I noticed with that, it's supposed to be like a blackout curtain I have there, but it doesn't black out shit. I was going to take the trash out the other morning, and when I looked through, I looked through it as I was closing. I could see the light inside here is what it was then. And then literally, like, if I'm just like standing on the sidewalk, I could totally see into the fucking unit too, for that matter. So I need to get something to like black that out when I'm gone is what it is then, so nobody can actually see in here is what it is then. But the only good thing about that is though, if I do have somebody like come around or whatever, because of the way I have my camera set up and stuff like that is what it is here, the cameras will catch them is what it is then. So it's like, yeah, I know you're there. Like if you're trying to like, sneak and peek, whatever the case be, like the cameras are catching you doing that, motherfucker. So if you're stupid enough to open up the door to my screen door, my doorbell camera will immediately catch them too, for that matter. So, like I know exactly who, potentially is trying to do something shady around here is what it is then, which I don't think that's going to happen much anymore, because I don't have any issues since dickhead was evicted, and that's what it was. So I think for the most part, it's just decent people around here now is what it is, except for that asshole who is no longer here. Thank God. So yeah, I feel a lot more like I'm a lot more inclined to not have extra security is what it is then that I would need when he was here. Like specifically when he was still here, I literally bought a fucking door jam thing for my door, like a bar thing to put underneath it, so it wouldn't be able to break in then if somebody broke in or whatever. Which I don't think was ever going to break in, but like it's still, I'm not saying one of his piece of shit buddies wouldn't have tried or whatever the case be. I mean, hell, the motherfucker literally stole my fucking porch light, for God's sakes. He stole my fucking porch light bulb, dude. Like, who the fuck does shit like that, honestly? Like, what a fucking scumbag, bro. Oh, God, people are such shitbags, dude, honestly. Fucking ends. O-ends, Y-ends, all the ends. But yeah, for real though. But yeah, I think most likely tomorrow when I'm at Walmart, I'm probably going to try to look for like a darker curtain or blind thing I can put over the doors when it is then. It'd be like an actual drape or something, then, if that be the case. So I do like the like little blackout curtain thing. Maybe I just need to get like a second one to put over it or something, if that be the case. Like do like a layered kind of deal or whatever there. Because that might be enough to like clip out the light or whatever then. I think maybe that's what it is. It's like, it's just too light. It's black, but it's like see-through black, if you will. So if I got like a different like shade of black or whatever, maybe it would be like more of a blackout or something then. So I don't know, man. It's hard to say. But yeah, I'll check on some stuff tomorrow then when I'm out at the store then. Go from there and hope I can set up something different as what it is then. So anyway, that's about it for today though. So, and yes, I will be back tomorrow for a Slicey Boy Saturday where we'll discuss some good stuff. We'll preview of that one. We got a new Draconado. So it'll be one of the ones we'll talk about tomorrow. And then go from there. So, but yeah. So I'll most likely do like a double fixed blade discussion tomorrow. That'll be like maybe like 10-15 minutes or so. And then maybe talk about like a single folder or something. Depends if my folder comes before I start the episode or not then. If I do it in the morning, it won't be. If I do it later in the afternoon, it might be here by then. So that's easier said than done because most of the stuff I'm eating now is basically the same meals. So, I mean, I guess I could do a technical like onion ring review or something like that of the Walmart onion rings, but then I don't know how good that is though. They're not bad. They're not the greatest either. Someplace in between. So, if I make up some bacon or something, maybe I'll do a bacon review. Breakfast review, bacon and eggs. So, anyway, that was more of an old house thing. I think if I'm going to do that stuff, it'll be after I move then. So it'd be more like June of this year would be my guess. When I move to a different place, that's what it is. So, but anyway. Yeah, that being said, there it's about 10:20 almost, and like I said, not knowing if Mickey is in the unit then or not, or if he's out. Like I'd rather prefer to get something going in the air fryer as quick as possible then, and be able to get something to eat. Here's what it is then. So I think I'm probably gonna make a couple the frozen chicken patty things is what it is there in the air fryer. The Great Value brand ones. They're I forget what the one at Aldi's was. I think Aldi's is more, the ones that Aldi's does, theirs were more inclined to the, what do you call it now? What Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches taste like. Where these Walmart ones are more just like some baseline version of that. Like I'm sure if you put like a couple spices and stuff on the breading, it might taste a little bit different or whatever. It might be more like Chick-fil-A or whatever. That being said, I know Chick-fil-A specifically not good for you, and neither is Popeyes, because they are, as some people say, drug sandwiches, because they really are, honestly. They have like, it's anywhere from like 40 to 50 addictive chemicals in them to make you want to eat more of them, is what it is then. So yeah, if you've ever had Chick-fil-A or Popeyes chicken sandwiches, like just know like you're eating drugs basically that want you to eat more of it, is what it is there. So, and I'm kind of surprised, honestly, with all those additives and various stuff like that, is what it is, chemical binding stuff and whatever there, that we haven't seen like some kind of outbreak of zombie viruses or something like that, or some like mad cow disease kind of deal going on, or whatever the case be in human beings at this point. So, I'm sure it'll cause cancer and stuff down the line or something, though, for a bunch of people, though, would be my guess. But who knows? Only time will tell on that one. So, But yeah, till later, I'll see you guys at some point tomorrow, either morning or later in the afternoon for Slicey Boy Saturday. And other than that, if there's any more updates about Minnesota or anything else going on with these leftist terrorists and stuff like that, we'll do most likely a grandstand for that one then. Obviously, I was going to do a grandstand the other day about the whole Minneapolis shooting thing, but that didn't happen because really I just forgot what was going on, honestly, because I was so tired that day too as well. And then it was also me trying to figure stuff out. So, yeah, it was basically... I'm glad I waited, honestly, because there was more information that came out today than it was then. And, yeah, it's basically proven to be completely justified now. And yeah, you still have a bunch of idiots basically cucking for this Renee Good woman. And, of course, you had all these leftist morons to start out with, basically doing the GoFundMe for her kids and the lesbian lover and stuff like that, which I would not be surprised, honestly, if some of this actually was about a payday. Like, she knew exactly what she was doing. She was trying to get herself killed to basically give her kids, like, $1 million payday or something like that, what it was there, whether it be through GoFundMe or, like, wrongful death lawsuits or what it be. So, or maybe she was just a fucking moron, who knows? Could be anything, honestly, at this point. But either way, she's dead, and she ain't coming back. And it sucked for her children, dude, because their mother didn't have to be a leftist nut going around and fucking with ISIS, what it was, dude. And she would very much still be alive right now. And unfortunately, she chose her own fate. And her actions resulted in, deadly consequences of what it is there. And it's unfortunate that you have these people that don't understand that or don't want to comprehend that and think they're fucking bulletproof just because there's some leftist twat is what it is there, dude. Where in reality, you are more likely to be killed because you're doing fucking crazy terrorist shit is what it is there. And then, of course, you got pieces of shit like that Mowowski guy, I think is what his name is, there in Florida, who is some fucking Democrat for Israel, who is basically cucking, being like, oh, we need to impeach Kristi Noem now. It's like, or you just shut the fuck up, dude. Like, just shut your fucking ass up, Mowowski, and resign from office, you fucking piece of shit Israel first asshole. So, anyway. Honestly, at this point, I would love to see every single member of Congress that's tied to the AI PCA, which would be the American Israel PAC, kicked out of office for being fucking traitors to this country, honestly. But I doubt that'll ever happen. So, that being said, I do want to point one thing out, which is basically something that was brought to my attention this week, which is apparently, and I cannot confirm this 100%, I can only confirm Renee's presence in this restaurant. Supposedly, at some point this past week here, you had Casey Putsch supposedly meeting with Jim Renacci, according to some photo that was taken. But the problem is, you have Renee's face, obviously being the photo, but then you have the back of somebody's head that kind of looks like Casey's head, but it might not be Casey. So until there would be like a second photo or like video evidence coming out of that, of him meeting with Jim Renacci, like, I don't believe that it was actually him. That being said, there is a real possibility they did meet with each other at some random restaurant there. And if they were meeting, I almost understand why they're meeting, because obviously with Casey being in this governor's race, he needs financial backing someplace. Renacci has millions and millions of dollars they potentially could either give him or, hook this dude up with some people that would give him money or whatever the case be. That being said, do I think Casey'd be selling out at that point or cutting deals or whatever to be governor or whatever? There's a real possibility of that, honestly. That being said, going to myself, if I was in the governor's race and I'd do something similar to that dude, like, would I be doing that stuff? Possibly. But you know what I'd also be doing? I would keep my moral ground at that point and basically lie to people's fucking faces and be like, oh yeah, I'll totally cut you a deal. I'll totally make sure your fucking business becomes like top priority when I'm in the governor's office or whatever the case be. And then guess what? As soon as I get in, fuck them, because I have 4 years to do whatever the fuck I want is what it is, dude. And I'm going to stick to my moral constitutional grounds, what it is then. And if I don't get reelected, who gives a fuck? I still have 4 years to fucking fix the state is what it is then. So I'm not saying that's what Casey's doing. He could easily be doing some shady backdoor deals and be, you know, a scumbag just like Vivek is, but, you know, that'll only be told in the future if he actually gets in the places what it is there. So that being said, I've looked at Casey's platform. I agree with most of it. The fact that he's picking this random woman, this Kim Georgeton woman, who is apparently also a constitutionalist type, is what it is there. You know, that's what TikTok needs to be, honestly, dude. It needs to be these people. So that's what I plan on voting for. That's who the network leadership and most of our membership plans voting for it now. Because we don't need Vivek in power, dude. We don't need some globalist fuckboy who's going to screw over this state to literally give himself a bunch more billions of dollars. And if anything, like what Vivek shows this week is when you're being endorsed by the fucking Somali Chamber of Commerce. Why is there even a fucking Somali Chamber of Commerce in Ohio at all, for that matter, dude? Or in America, for that matter, even. But yeah, when they're endorsing his bitch ass, you know there's fucking fraud going on in every single aspect of this fucker's campaign is what it is then. So, and I would not be surprised, honestly, if the only reason that Rob McCauley even took the lieutenant governor pick from Vivek was because he knows he's basically going to turn around and fuck Vivek in the ass is what it is then, dude. If they were to get into power, which I would not be surprised at least by that one. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised in the least if it was a situation where in the next like 2 or 3 months, if Vivek actually just drops out of the race, Rob then becomes the governor pick himself, if that'd be the case, and then picks his own lieutenant governor, then is what it is then. Or if it would be a situation where if they were to win overall and become, you know, governor, lieutenant governor, if on the first day McCauley actually just turns around and basically impeaches Vivek over some shit, and then becomes governor himself, and then just appoints his own lieutenant governor as it is then, which would make logical sense given the fact that McCauley has been a appointed yes man for the Republican Party for the past 6 years or so, give or take now. So, I don't know. It's all interesting scenarios to talk about, but until anyone would actually be enacted, and that would be, you know, almost a year from now is what it is then. Nobody can actually predict the future unless you have like actual clairvoyance is what it is, which unfortunately my my dreams are not coming to fruition the way they need to anymore is what it is. I've had a couple precognitive dreams, but it's nothing really major is what it is there. So never had anything like that where it's political stuff. So I think we'd be, honestly, I think if I was to predict the future right now, I think it'd be more we'd have like a civil war or a color revolution sometime this summer before everything happens then. And who's to say if we would have like true midterms come November is what it is then, dude. So, or if there's not like political assassinations of like various candidates this coming spring and summer and stuff like that, then who knows? So, because I don't think everybody ever predicted this woman's going to have this, you know, be killed by ICE there in Minnesota. So, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that thing, the whole thing is actually some like weird payday for them, or if she was just some psychotic leftist nut, which is exactly what it seems, honestly. I also find it pretty disgusting when you have people who are putting up a bunch of various pictures that supposedly were this Renee Good woman, but it wasn't. Obviously, it was either AI generated photos of her, or it was like some other person that completely is what it is there. They're just like claiming it's her, because from what we saw in the video, like she was like full on like bull dyke lesbian is what it was there, dude. And it was like shaven head, like fucking militant style, whatever the case be. It wasn't like some good looking woman at all, for that matter. So, because the one photo I saw, she kind of like the picture, I don't know if it was even her in that picture or not, but that person looked like a discount Peyton List, honestly. So, like maybe that was her, but it was like a 10-year-old picture or something like that, who knows? But either way, it's like, yeah, she did not look like that when she was killed by ICE in self-defense is what it is there. So, of course they are. They always fucking are. And that's the one thing, dude. Like, from everything we've seen with our Negwood shooting by the ICE agents there, she was doing this on behalf of Somali terrorists, dude. So, fuck her, you know? And when you had the vigil being held and you had almost none of these people come out to like mourn her death, like that just shows the suicidal empathy of these leftist women is what it is, dude. Specifically these white leftist women and just leftist women in general is what it is there. When you're gonna sit there and, literally be so suicidally empathetic to third world trash and third world trash, and then it turns out that like these people don't give a fuck about you. All it shows is you're just a fucking idiot, is then, and it's that simple, honestly. So that being said, there's some kind of noise. I'm assuming my neighbor guy is home, or he was napping and just got up or something. I don't know. But either way, I'm still gonna get something in the air fryer. What it is then. I'm just let it get it before it goes off. That's what it is. Since it is after quiet hours now. So, but yeah, being a half hour after quiet hours now, I'm gonna wind this one off then and call it a night. So have a good one, y'all. Stay safe, stay vigilant, always be caring, all that good stuff like that. And like I said, I'll be doing something for the birthday tomorrow. Some kind of Slicey Boy Saturday episode. It might be 10 to 15 minutes. It might be 20 minutes. Who knows? I'm not sure exactly. Depends on how long I got where these knives can be reviewed for. And did a couple of cut tests of them and stuff like that, just showing how sharp the stuff actually is. So if I can find the one knife I got the other day too, I want to do a review on that one as well, because it's actually pretty cool. It's like a bottle cap knife, where the one side's bottle cap and then you flip it up and it becomes a knife. And it claimed to be D2, and I thought it wasn't, but after I tried cutting through some stuff with it, it actually is really quite sharp, actually. So I think it is actual D2, that's what it is. So that being said, it is very, very small, and I cannot get a full hand grip on it at all, so most likely it'll just become a bottle cap opener is what it is then. Unless I would really need it for a knife or something, that would be the case. So, but anyway, till later. Hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. Always be carrying. You never know what's going to happen. And always be situationally aware, because you never know what kind of crazy terrorism is about to hit this country that you may have to be the first responder to. So always be your own first responder. Always be prepared to protect yourself and your family. And always be ready for any kind of danger that may come your way. Later, y'all. Peace out.